Today's video, I'm going to talk about one of the greatest drummers of the last generation and a very particular technique that makes him great. Now, I think this one technique that makes him great is maybe something that's not within his control, but it's also something that I do that I get complimented on all the time, even though I'm not the greatest drummer of all time. I'm not comparing myself to Carter Beauford, all right? He's one of the legends of the game, undoubtedly. But I will say that we have this one thing in common that a lot of people take notice of, especially if they themselves are musicians, and it kind of confuses people. It throws people for a loop. They're like, man, how is he doing that? Like, technically, how did he work out in his brain how to do that fill or that groove or whatever? And that is the simple technique. Well, I think it's simple. Carter would say it's simple, but the technique of playing open-handed. So if you ever notice Carter Beauford's drumming, he has all of his time-keeping pieces, his hi-hats. Let me turn these snare wires off. This beautiful Ludwig Copperphonic that I'm playing on. He has all of his time-keeping pieces on the left side of his kit, his hi-hats, his ride, and even a couple crashes that he likes to ride on sometimes. Occasionally, you'll see him playing in a more right-handed fashion, keeping time on a tom or on a crash cymbal to his right or something like that. But for the most part, he's a left-handed drummer playing a right-handed kit with a slight modification, right, with the ride to the left. And a few key effects pieces to his set on the left as well that maybe most drummers would have on the right or in the center of the kit, or at least to the right of the hi-hats, okay? And this brings up the first point, that it's important to remember that your snare drum is actually the center of your drum set, okay? It's right between your legs. You have kick drum to your right, hi-hat to your left. Right in the middle between your legs is your snare drum. And so on a right-handed drum set, what that generally equates to is, for whatever reason, it's just tradition, it's just what people are used to, they put almost everything on their setup either straight ahead or to the right of the snare drum. Okay, so you have all this space to the left of the hi-hat that's left over. And look, I mean, I'm guilty of that right now, although this is kind of more of a minimal setup that I'm playing that I'm used to. Sometimes I have like a floor tom over here and maybe another cymbal or something. But still, the bulk of my kit is to the right. Okay, so think about, you're playing your hi-hats, you're keeping time in your normal right-handed fashion, okay? So you're crossing over like so. So you have to stop playing your hi-hats, either stop playing your hi-hats altogether to work the rest of the kit to the right side, or you have to do this weird crossover thing that nobody likes to do with your left hand underneath your time-keeping right hand, okay? So why not learn how to play open-handed like Carter Beauford and like yours truly? You'll get tons of compliments at every show you play, or at least questions from other nerd musicians about how the hell you did that. All right, it's just something I'm pointing out, you know, but there is a deeper element to this. So the right side of the body is associated with the left brain. The left side of the brain is connected to the right side of the body. What most of us are doing is basically using our left brain to keep time. So the left brain is a more linear way of thinking. It's our tool that helps us to stay structured, stay oriented within a tight routine, And what that equates to drumming wise is keeping time. Even a lot of left-handed players, or at least people who are left-handed who play drums, learn how to play right-handed because their left brain is connected to their right arm. And that equates to easier timekeeping because the left brain wants to stay in the pocket, okay? The right brain is the more creative side that doesn't really like rules, okay? So if you train your left brain how to do right brain things and your right brain how to do left brain things, then not only can you do the opposite also, but you're opening up so many possibilities, unlimited more possibilities when it comes to keeping time, as well as spatially being able to access the kit if you're keeping time with your left hand on the left side of your kit. You have all these other possibilities on the right side of your kit because your right arm is now open, okay? So it's something that I highly recommend you work on. And it doesn't mean you have to keep time with your left hand on the hi-hats all the time. You can still maintain the same setup that you have, right? I actually was forced into this because when I was 15 years old, I was playing with my first real band and I had a little accident. I cut my finger open, taking out a bag of trash glass working at a thrift shop, threw it in the dumpster, and on its way out of my hands, it like part of the bag kind of caught my hand and sliced my finger open, and I needed to get surgery on a nerve and on an artery in my right index finger, okay? And I was primarily playing right-handed, you know, like most people do while they're still learning. You know, I had the brain chemistry to play drums by then. I was pretty solid, but I was still really cleaning up my technique. And so this kind of threw me for a loop. I basically had to play left-handed, not just left-handed, but one-handed for several months. So I learned how to play open-handed. I learned how to not only keep time with my left hand, but also play the whole fucking kit with the left hand, all right? So by the time my right hand was back in commission, I had all these other tools available at my disposal, all right? And now, to this day, the way that's translated is not that I keep time left-handed on my hi-hat all the time. I do it sometimes. Well, for one, it kind of allows me to be lazy and not be as fit as I could. Because sometimes, like, I'll be keeping time with my left hand and I'll be getting tired because it's like maybe a fast part or something and it's long and I got a ways to go. So then I'll just switch to the right hand and nobody hears the difference, right? Because I've developed the left-handed timekeeping chops. But I can compensate. I can switch over from hand to hand when I'm playing intricate hi-hat riffs. And it gives me a break, I guess. So yeah, it's a really important thing to be able to learn how to do. I wish I saw more people doing it. Carter Beauford was the first guy I saw, and to this day, the only really popular drummer that I'm aware of who consistently keeps time with his left hand. But I haven't really come across anyone like myself. Come across many people who are better than me at drums, but nobody who does timekeeping the way that I do it, in that I kind of switch back and forth between my left hand and my right hand. And whenever I'm coming up with a new fill to play for a band I'm playing with, or even a new beat that encompasses a lot of the kit, I'm always thinking about, well, I can play left-handed, I can play right-handed. What's the most efficient way and the most creativity inducing way to play this set, to play this beat, right? I can mainly keep time with my right, or mainly keep time with my left, or I can do some combination of those things. Whenever I go into this fill or this part, how do I want to lead? Do I want to lead with the right hand or the left hand if it's like kind of a roll across the set? Why? Why would I lead with the right hand? Well, maybe I'm finishing that roll with my left hand, and that leaves my right hand open to hit a crash or something when I need to, or the china. Or maybe I need to hit something right after that roll with my left hand. So I'll actually lead the roll with my left, go across the kit like this, and then I finish with the right, and then my left hand is immediately available to the whole, really the whole of the kit, right? From the right side to do whatever it is I want to do next. So you see where I'm going with this? Like, there are unlimited possibilities when you learn how to keep time with your left hand and you become ambidextrous when it comes to playing the drums. Look, as far as which hand you brush your teeth with or wipe your ass, I don't give a shit, all right? But if you can train not just your hands, because it's not a matter of just like simple dexterity and coordination. You have to rewire your brain on how to play left-handed. And let me tell you, once you get it down, you have unlimited possibilities creatively. And also what you're going to be doing from a neurological standpoint or a neuroscientific standpoint is you're going to be engaging that right side of your brain in a whole new way, and the left side of the brain. You're going to make the left side of your brain more creative, and you're going to make the right side of your brain be able to, or be more accepting of being linear in your timekeeping. And also that's going to open up a new plethora of creativity as well. So there's unlimited possibilities in being ambidextrous on the drums. I highly recommend it. So go out and practice keeping time on your hi-hats with your left hand. I promise there are only benefits. You can still mainly play right-handed if you want, but there are going to be so many benefits that were just never available to you before creatively, right? I get compliments all the time at my shows. And again, I'm not the most solid drummer from a technical standpoint, but I have this ambidextrous thing going for me, so I can do things that most guys just can't do creatively, or at least that they wouldn't even think of. Maybe if they practice it, they could do it, you know? Another thing about that, though, is if you're going to regularly play left-handed, at least some of the time, you're going to have to adjust the positioning of your hi-hat to suit that, right? So if you're doing this all the time, you might want your hi-hat in a particular place. You might not want it to be as far out as mine is right now. Mine is kind of like, it's a little more centered in my kit than you'll see in most people, especially most people who play a double bass drum pedal. They're forced to move their hi-hat more over to the left side of the kit. For me, that doesn't work. I don't really play double bass drum anyway. So because I have it more centered, it's just kind of more available. I'm not as tight and crunched when I'm playing left-handed, right? If the hi-hat were more over here, it might be cozy to stay tight in the pocket playing right-handed, but as soon as you switch to the left, you actually kind of lose that body positioning that playing open-handed is supposed to afford you, because you're kind of crunching up like this, right? So you're going to need to move it a little further out to the center once you start playing open-handed more. So it's just something to keep in mind, and maybe I'll do a more technical video breaking that down later. But yeah, go out, become ambidextrous. I promise you won't regret it. It's only beneficial creatively and technically. So y'all have a good day. Cheers.